To lead in a world that never stops evolving, you need insights from those who are driving change. Welcome to Breakthrough Innovations, where we bring together the top leaders and innovators who are reshaping their industries. I'm JL Heather, the Principal Executive Coach at Center, and in each episode I sit down with game-changing executives who share the strategies, insights, and challenges that fuel their success. In the next 20 minutes, you'll gain practical takeaways to drive your own breakthroughs. So if you're ready to stay ahead, join us here on Breakthrough Innovations. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Breakthrough Innovation. With us today is Todd Merrill, an experienced software executive who assists clients as a fractional or interim CTO and CISO. Todd has served in a series of companies as a C-level executive focused on leveraging the cloud to bring SaaS offerings to market. As an entrepreneur, turnaround expert, technology and product leader, and mentor, Todd has held full corporate P&L and product development responsibilities and has directed diverse international teams of engineering managers, mobile architects, developers, DevOps, QA, and customer success professionals. Todd, it sounds like you've done a little bit of everything. So I think this is going to be some great conversation, and we're super excited to have you on the show.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's fun to talk about innovation for sure.
Absolutely. To kick us off, though, maybe give us a little bit of your background and kind of what got you to your current role.
Yeah. So I'm an entrepreneur, inventor type personality at heart. So I've always started little companies, but I've gone really deep into technology through my career, bachelor's and master's of computer engineering. And so, right off the bat in grad school, worked for NASA, doing coding theory, and I got to play with some space technology. A little bit of my software went up on the space shuttle, which kind of sounds old. That was a long time ago. But it was cool when it happened. We got to see the rocket go up and everything. And the guys pushed the bird out of the back of the space shuttle, and I got to play with it,
Awesome.
From 11 at night to whenever the Army woke up. So that was, early. That's very typical. That's the kind of stuff that gets my blood going. And, was very blessed to take that into some a lot of very deep tech, very meaningful early telecom networking type innovative companies. First cable modem, worked on some of the first fiber optic telecom lasers for Sienna, so a lot of really cool stuff along the way. We don't want to bore everybody with my resume, but, innovation is in the blood for sure. And then, business innovation, getting out there in the world and starting companies or helping other people to get going. Starting companies is actually kind of fun as well. It's a different kind of innovation, I think.
Yeah, no, I do. I love that perspective that innovation isn't just about products or services. It's also about approach. And maybe some of the biggest innovations on the horizon with AI in the background is going to be around approach. So I love that. And I know, given your background, obviously you've been a lot of places and you've worked in your current role with a lot of different companies. So when you're looking at this and you're thinking about the parts of the growth curve, and we talked beforehand about some phases there, I'm curious, how does innovation within an organization change from that scrappy early napkin stage to the we want it, don't screw it up stage? What is the process? What is the life cycle of innovation there?
Yeah. And it's important to understand, there's been a couple books written about this, but I subscribe to the idea that there's kind of gears that you have to shift through in your corporate development. You see it all the time, particularly early stage. You have people that are necessarily going to, be hard hitters early in your development. That you can't ask too many questions, arm them to the teeth. It's kind of like commandos, right? You have one goal, blow up that tower, don't ask too many questions, give them everything they need, right? But that doesn't work when you're in the market, so to speak, and you have to coordinate a little bit more. You have, cybersecurity compliance to deal with. You have contracts that you have to bring in. You have HR concerns. Those kind of things. Yeah. And then you have to kind of shift gears, and you can innovate very fast and violently on a very small focused goal, get product market fit early. And then at some point you have to kind of coordinate a little bit. There's a front end team, there's a back end team, there's some quality people, there's, marketing has to get out there in the world and talk to people, so it's a different kind of, it's a team exercise, not just a quick, low communication, early development kind of innovation, and at some point, your innovation succeeds, and then the life cycle of your project gets to maturity. and then you just need to maintain the edge, right? And then so it's not such a violent pace. Your pace slows down, but you have bigger customers. You have to maintain it. You have to have higher quality standards. So it's more iterative, more methodical. If you're not aware of the different gears you have to shift through, I think it can be a little frustrating sometimes when your little project grows up and then you find yourself kind of in an uncomfortable place from where you started.
Yeah. And I'm assuming like each phase has a little bit of a different risk from an innovation perspective. Like as I was listening to you talk about things feel a little bit safer, and stuff like that, with the word that popped up in my head was complacency, which is kind of the antithesis of innovation to some extent. What do companies need to be doing when they're hitting those stages to kind of maintain, to kind of not lose sight of the innovation that got them to where they were?
Right. Well, it's a different kind of innovation, when you win, right? So you'll get a couple bugs and they're nasty old bugs. They're tough to track down, but they really polish out that last couple % of quality for that product. Super important when you're Salesforce, SAP, people that are selling to lots and lots of markets. Very impactful, that last little bit. When you're early stage, time matters, right? Getting it out there, getting exposure to the market, getting hits on the user, getting reps on your software. If it's software we're talking about, that's super important. So going fast is a premium, and then getting an 80% solution out there oftentimes is what you need, right? As long as it's fast and it mostly works, and you get a little bit of feedback. But then as you kind of grow, you rein it back in, and you have to be more methodical or a little bit more deliberate in your planning. Planning starts to take place, and then you necessarily have more, that management layer that comes in. You can't just go wing it anymore. And you have different parts of the company.
Transition. You mentioned the management layer. So first of all, I love the idea of it's that customer connection, stay connected to your customer. But then you're talking about management. As we see an organization go up this growth curve, management has to evolve, leadership has to evolve as that company progresses. What are the pitfalls there? What role does leadership play?
Right. Well, and it's change management, particularly in these high growth industries, and innovative companies have a lot of that. I subscribe to a theory that most people fit neatly into one of these three quantum buckets of very early stage, kind of mid stage, but still actively taking market and figuring stuff out. And then that late stage of, hey, we won. Let's quit fighting so hard. Let's just, maintain. So I think the managers in that construct are the ones that can bridge. They're the unusual ones that can exist between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, as an example. So find those people that are comfortable taking it from a messy commando phase to, hey, we need to lay down some infrastructure here. We need product roadmaps. We need to do user surveys. We need to coordinate with marketing. We need to hire, a team, lay down a little bit of process, but not so much that we die by process. They can't get
I
anything
think it's
done.
important to point out, like, we're not saying those leaders don't have a place in the new organization.
Oh, sure.
I think a lot of times those early stage leaders make great leaders of like a skunkworks program or something along those lines.
Right. Well, and so like me personally, if I'm a coder, I want to be a commando, right? Don't ask me too many questions. I'm just going to go and go Hulk for like 36, 48 hours. Love that. Like, I'm getting a little old for that now, but like that was my personality early. Like, don't bother me. Love commando phase. And you see that, I've started a couple companies, but then as a manager, I'm very effective. Like I naturally float up into manager role, to get us into that process infrastructure. Like, it's time for me to stop coding. Like, I'll do a prototype, and that it's time for me to go into management. And I'm very good at laying down process and planning and building teams. And then it's time for me to be a manager. So I'm way more effective manager in that second phase. Whereas I might enjoy being a coder with more structure. Right. I'm very good and very proficient at that second stage. And then I definitely look for the exits. When it's time to go public. And then you have a whole lot of compliance and, I don't necessarily enjoy that kind of phase of life where it's just kind of coasting. I'm looking for, okay, what's the next big thing that we can go disrupt? And you can do that inside of a bigger company too. Like you're saying, like a skunkworks. It's a lot harder.
Well, I think listening to you talk, so like a couple things I'm picking out. Early stage, if you want to have someone who is going to spend 36 hours coding, and then sleep for 2 days, hopefully.
Yeah. I don't know.
The vision has to be clear, like value has to be understood. And I think that's a constant throughout. Like even as you make that transition later, if value isn't understood, it's too easy for someone to sprint off in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, as you're growing, those leaders, that structure that comes in doesn't mean that those people are obsolete, but what it does mean is you have to really understand your people's strengths and help make sure that you're leaning into your people's strengths rather than trying to push them in a place that they're going to be set up for failure.
Right. Even at Google, right? Massive company, obviously won a lot of victories in the market. There's still people that are going out there pushing, ever new technologies,
right?
Like AI, right? So AI means a lot of things to a lot of people, but I guarantee you there's people at Google and other big companies that are writing PhD level papers
Absolutely,
about some little nuance of some new algorithm, right? And that's important, right? So you can innovate inside of large organizations. And there's, I think, two things from this conversation. So number one, team is important, right? So if you're a team of one, you're probably not going to do very well in the startup world. You do need, like, if you're a sales entrepreneur oriented, you do need that technical founder. Technical founder also needs that market facing, co-founder or co-founders. So I think that's super important. Like you're saying, you can't just go hack your way to victory, right? You have to know where you're going and you have to think about it, at least some, right? Or at least have a thesis of where you're going and test it and measure and monitor and figure out how we're doing early and often.
Well, what's the saying? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah. And there's some, so those are two levers, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the game is, you can start out alone, but you got to quickly pick up a friend or two. And then, let's figure out how to get it to 50 or 100 friends, and it's a constantly sliding scale of how much
absolutely
coordination we have.
No, I love that. Now, I think to kind of go future looking here, what do the innovators of today need to be considering as they're looking at the future? Because if there's one thing that has become completely clear, it's that things are changing, whether it's AI, whatever. So in this coming, 5 to 10 years, what are the things innovators need to be aware of?
Right. So from my, older mindset, the things I've seen is innovation cycles have gotten A, cheaper, and B, more violent, more frequent. And so I think that's actually a good thing, right? So can we figure, you have to acknowledge that, right? So everything's becoming faster and tighter. So, acknowledge that everything you're working on is a project with a finite shelf life, right? And then if you're lucky, it used to be 20 years, a piece of software could last 20 years.
Right.
Like that's unimaginable today, right? So maybe 3 years, maybe 5 if you're lucky. If a company's around 10 years, they probably had a couple pivots along the way. Right. So just acknowledge that things are going to go fast. Figure it out as fast as you can, as cheaply as possible. And then, just take little bites and then figure it out. And then don't be afraid to kind of move off onto the next thing. So like AI, the LLM type of AI is really cool now. We've all seen that S curve. We're probably, about to roller coaster right over into the trough of disillusionment. But and then we're going to come right back up, and then people are going to kind of stick with the things that LLMs are good at, as an example. And there'll be another technology that comes, right? There always is. Crypto was hot for a while, and then it was like, oh, it's just the blockchain. And then it was like, AI, and then it was, cloud was a big deal for a minute back in the day. But there's these cycles that are getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Just look for the next one. Get on a meaningful project. And focus on it. It's kind of like, the lion on the Serengeti, you pick one antelope to go after. You can't switch, right? Go after that one target and then stay with it until you run it down. You get a result and then go, acknowledge that everything's a project. Look for that next project, either inside the company or at the next company, and then just ride the waves. And I think that's kind of the mentality I've started taking. That's a hard thing, when previous generations say, hey, go get a job, at a nice company and stick with it, like that's not the game anymore. I don't think you can do that anymore. Even the largest technology companies, you know, if you've been there 3, 4, 5 years, like you're really old at that company, at that organization. So just ride the waves, keep it going, keep these cycles going. And that's the best thing you can do.
Well, I like the idea of know when it's time to switch targets. Know when that antelope has either been caught or is going to get away, and don't be afraid to change your path.
Right.
Because delay in that moment, it is what's deadly.
And it's okay to sit down for a few minutes, after the hunt.
Exactly. It's a balance.
So your project wound up. So, there's a lot of emotions of like, crap, that was a really cool ride, or, oh man, I can't believe that's over, or that ended horribly, or, take a minute or two. I always like to, go to the beach for a week and, kind of reset, and then, jump on something else.
No, you got to take care of yourself. So, Todd, this has been absolutely fantastic. Before we wrap up, where can listeners connect with you, collaborate with you? What's the best way to get in touch?
LinkedIn, Todd Merrill. I'm a partner at Tech CXO. So we're all over the techcxo.com website. And then I have a podcast as well. Would love to, for you to tune in, Tales from the Sky Lounge at everywhere that you get your podcasts.
Sky Lounge, isn't that what Delta calls their lounge?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
There we go. I was wondering. Cool. Well, Todd, thank you so much. This has absolutely been a fantastic conversation. We're really grateful to have had a chance to benefit from your insights. And then for everyone else who made it here with us to the end, if today's episode brought you any value, please consider leaving a rating on whatever platform you listen with. And if you know anyone who's looking for some help with the CTO, CISO space, send them this video and connect them with Todd. And then lastly, remember, take one insight from today, apply it, and let us know how it goes, because we'd really love to hear your progress. Other than that, Todd, thank you very much. And thanks to everyone else. We'll see you all next time on Breakthrough Innovation.
Thank you.